Must-see TV. We're in a time of transition here, Bob. Most of the network shows have ended for the season. Of course, we've got two outstanding must-sees right now in Mad Men and Game of Thrones. And it seems almost silly to preview those two, but just in case, here we go. Number one on the list, Mad Men on AMC, created by Matt Weiner, who obviously cut his teeth writing on some of the later seasons of The Sopranos. Stars John Hamm as Don Draper, 1960s advertising creative director with a secret and complicated past. What, is it any good? Yes. Terrific writing, acting, art direction. Critics love it pretty much universally. Pulls in medium ratings for cable drama, to be quite honest. But those who watch it love it. It's usually in the running for Emmys, though Don Draper has, shockingly, never won Best Actor, John Hamm. Oh yeah, it's also the best show on TV right now, so watch it if you're not watching it. 2, Game of Thrones on HBO, also a must-watch. This one's created by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, adapted from the popular fantasy series A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Huge cast. This season has Peter Dinklage as getting the lead billing. The premise... how about the king dies and pretty much everyone takes a shot at claiming the throne? Dragons, armies, politics, naked bodies, and there you have it. Do you watch Game of Thrones? We know you watch Mad Men. We just talked about that, Bob. But you're watching Game of Thrones, right?
Oh yeah. I'm into it. I'm committed now. 3 seasons in, and there's something about the production value that makes it so compelling. Because the more you talk about it, when I talk about it with friends, the more I realize how much benefit of the doubt I give it in so many other domains. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, like it's really biting off more than it can chew. Like too many storylines. There's like 7 or 8 storylines, and half of them are just pathetic and shouldn't matter. But the production value and the epicness of it sort of compensates to the point where when you don't think about it, it seems like it all makes sense and it's designed to be told this way. But in reality, it should be half as many stories as it is on screen.
Fair enough. One of the things about it, though, it's even more popular than Mad Men. It's trendy for like celebrities to reveal their secret Game of Thrones love, and they have to rush home on Sunday night to watch it and stuff like that. So it's got more of a following. Oh, and then there's of course the people who've read the books, who it's hard to talk to without them giving you that old smirk, like you'll see.
Okay.
But you should definitely be watching this show. Those are the 2 must-sees right now. Just imagine me reaching out and grabbing you, urging you to watch Mad Men and Game of Thrones. But I want to round out the top 5. These are more extra credit. If you want something more to watch, you've already seen those for the week. 3, I'm going to put Arrested Development here on Netflix. We already talked about that too, created by Mitch Hurwitz. Just to continue the preview, makes it easy. It's the story of a wealthy family who lost everything and the one son who had no choice but to keep them all together. This is Arrested Development. With Jason Bateman, Jessica Walter, Will Arnett, Michael Cera, David Cross, others. This is the 4th season, 7 years after the 3rd. Just released all at once on Netflix. I should say that the first 2 seasons are generally regarded as some of the best comedy of all time. Even though no one watched it and it got canceled, and now this is the 4th season. And as you've heard us talk about already, it's getting sort of mixed reviews. Good, not greats, things like that. But it's pretty important to be watching. I don't know how long it'll stay on the list, but a week or 2 more probably. And then this crazy model. It's hard to know how long it's a current TV show, but you should watch it.
Yeah, that reminds me. We'll have to talk about how we adapt our formula, because my movie picks, they're not like all Oscar nods or indie dramas that are going to get a lot of awards or anything. That's like a different list. But I think we're here to like talk about movies and TV that's just like America or the world is experiencing, that's relevant
Absolutely.
and interesting, because otherwise that doesn't necessarily mean it's all very good.
Yeah, we want you to be able to have the conversations with people at the water cooler, stuff like that.
That's right, yeah.
So 2 more quickly. Veep on HBO, I'll just throw on there. Like
Yes!
I said, we're in this middle time where not that much TV, but there's some good things to watch. Veep on HBO, created by Armando Iannucci, who also did The Thick of It and In the Loop. Are you a fan of Armando Iannucci's other stuff, Bob?
I saw In the Loop.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm a hesitant fan. I like where he's going, but I always feel like he's just slightly off on the execution. But I actually think Veep, by contrast, especially with Arrested Development, is pretty funny. It's a pretty good show.
I agree. I actually like this more than his previous work.
Me too.
Of course, I have an anti-British TV bias, so that probably helps explain it a little bit. But it stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Vice President of the United States, Selena Meyer. It's one of those fast-paced dialogue comedies based on political satire.
Yep.
Critics like it fine. Has a pretty good audience for an HBO half-hour comedy. Louis-Dreyfus won the Emmy last year for actress in a comedy. So yeah,
Nice.
it's a good show.
Yeah, and it has one crossover actor who's also in Arrested Development. I don't remember his name, uh,
Oh,
but
man, I should be able to remember his name, but it's Buster in
yeah,
Arrested Development.
Buster in Arrested Development, and he plays a similar like kind of goofball in Veep in some
Yeah,
ways.
actually, they're really similar. The way he just waits on his mom in Arrested Development, and the way he waits on Selena
Selena,
in
yeah.
Veep.
I
Uh,
I totally fully stamp of approval endorse Veep. That is solid TV for right now. I'd say, yeah.
right on. So here's where I got to the sort of place you are. It's not obvious what to put in. There are some candidates, but I decided to go with Family Tree on HBO.
Oh, I'm watching that too.
Created by Christopher Guest of
Yeah.
This Is Spinal Tap, A Mighty Wind, and Best in Show fame, to name just a few.
Yep.
You should know Christopher Guest, and it's very much like a Christopher Guest show. Stars Chris O'Dowd as a dude living in England who gets a box of doodads that leads him on journeys to discover his ancestors. It's classic improvisational mockumentary, which seems like it's been done a million times, but Christopher Guest gets a pass because he pretty much invented this format.
Right.
Critics seem to like it fairly well enough. It doesn't have great ratings yet. I like it fine. It's only in my top 5 because we're in this gap again. But if you're looking for something funny to watch, give it a whirl.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you now. It does have a little bit of the boring factor. The problem with mockumentaries is if they're not tightly edited and really crisply done, they can just be boring by
Yeah.
comparison to other movies.
I can't argue with that. But that's on the list this week. We've got some more candidates coming on that'll probably bump it off. But feel free to give it a whirl. It's not a bad show.